a package of rules that allows our players and coaches to play fast, right? That up-tempo, fast-paced game. And that comes from the input that we receive from fans. We talked to thousands of fans in focus groups and market research, and they told us they love professional football. It's America's favorite sport, as we all know. But they thought there was too much downtime, too much idle time in a game. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. One of these things, Brian, right? Let's go, let's go. Right. So we wanted to really put a package of rules together that allows us to play fast, and ideally a high-scoring game as well.
So can you take us through that process? Because while involving, I think it was over 6,000 fans is an awesome idea, you're also going to get some insane suggestions that you can't use.
That's right.
So how did you call them, and who did you lean on? What type of sources you guys lean on to decide, okay, these are the changes from what you would call the traditional football rules that we want to
So we brought together a couple of different groups. We had former coaches, guys like Jim Caldwell, John Fox. I wanted to have a quarterback who played both in the NFL and in the CFL, so we brought Doug Flutie in, who gave us some really good insights into some of the things the CFL does that we took a look at. We brought in TV folks. We brought Jim Harbaugh helped us out, current coaches. We brought in medical professionals because health and safety does play a factor. 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't talked about as much as it is now. So when we were developing our package of rules, we wanted to make sure that we weren't going backwards in terms of health and safety. So we filtered out a lot of the crazy ideas, and there are some crazy ideas out there, and there are a lot of things that we tested with a bunch of JUCOs and semi-pro leagues. We actually had guys in full pads going through kickoffs and punts and you name it, all the different timing aspects. And we wanted to make sure that what we thought looked good on the whiteboard, on the chalkboard, actually looked good on film and was teachable to players, because that's important as well. We've got about a dozen or so innovations, but we don't want a player to be thinking too much, oh, what league am I in, when he's back there kind of fielding a punt, right? Because you got other things to worry about. So I think it came together fairly well with all of that. But the input we received from guys like Caldwell and Fox and Flutie and others really was invaluable for us.
One of the most intriguing rules that you guys have come up with is the double forward pass on one play. How did you guys come up with that, and how will that impact the way the game is being played right now at this point?
So if you think about it, quarterbacks are in the shotgun 60, 70% of the time nowadays, right? So they're 5, 6 yards back. You can't really throw the double forward. You can't throw that trick play if you're throwing the ball backward already 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, and you got to have your wide out, 6 yards back. You're giving the play away, basically. So we said, let's change that rule. As long as the ball doesn't cross the line of scrimmage, let's allow the quarterback to have, a quick pass to the side, and then allow that receiver to throw it, or the running back on the jet sweep. So we think that it's a big play. We think fans like to see it. We think it's exciting. I loved it. And we've got a bunch of players in our league, guys like B.J. Daniels, former quarterback at South Florida, who's with the Seattle Dragons right now, and he probably won't be the starter, but he can play, right? So you put a quarterback like that or a player like that out on on the slot or in the wideout, I think that play becomes all of a sudden very valuable, and it's an exciting, fun play, often a scoring play. So we think that'll loosen things up a little bit.
The other interesting rule: receivers just have to have 1 foot inbounds for a catch. How'd you guys come up with that?
That's the college rule, obviously, and we came up with that because it's easier, quite honestly, to officiate. And one thing, Brian, you might think about this.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we want to make sure that our game is as simple as possible to officiate, to remove as much sort of doubt as can be. But one of the things that came out as we were talking to receivers is the 1 foot in bounds rule is actually safer because it allows you to kind of do that football fall and roll your shoulder. And if you're dragging both feet, you're pretty much exposed. So we realize, hey, this is actually a little bit safer, and we think it's easier to officiate. Why not? Let's do it. We've seen it 1,000 times on a Saturday afternoon with college ball, so that we didn't really have to test too much that particular rule.
From reading the rules on the website, xfl.com/rules, there aren't a ton of things on there that football fans are going to be like, I don't know. I think the double forward pass is the biggest change, aside from the overtime. The shootout format in overtime is a change, and I think people are going to see and say, man, I wish other leagues would implement it. If people haven't checked out the rules website yet, can you explain to the audience what that is?
So the overtime rule basically is this. You know, we wanted to come up with a solution where the players that decided the 60 minutes of regulation were the ones that decided overtime. Both teams, right? The offense and defense of both teams. So think about a hockey shootout or the soccer shootout. You've got offensive team A, defensive team B, and then the offensive team B and the defensive team A, and they're running plays, right? Alternate plays from the 5-yard line, play from scrimmage. Whoever scores the most wins the game. We solved for having both offenses and defenses out there, which I think is sort of an issue of fundamental fairness. And we also needed to solve for getting overtime done relatively quickly. Our game is about a 2-hour, 45-minute game with our 25-second clock. So we wanted to make sure we could get an overtime done in 8 to 9 minutes and not, sort of go outside that window of 3 hours.
And it removes kickers from the overtime.
It does remove kickers from the overtime.
Did you consider removing kickers from the league entirely?
Yes, we did until my butt.
Tried.
Yeah, we tried. Now we still have field goals and we have kickoffs, so we still got the kicker in the game. We're not entirely taking the foot out of football.
Yeah. The other big rule change, just real quick, and I thought this was important, the extra point. You have the ability to get, what, 2 points or
3 points.
3 points, that's
we've
right.
got 3 options. You score a touchdown at 6 points, very traditional, and then you got a 1-point option, which is a play from scrimmage from the 2-yard line, a 2-point option, play from scrimmage from the 5-yard line, and a 3-point option, which is a play from scrimmage from the 10. So you can have a 9-point touchdown. We think it can turn a 2-score game into a 1-score game and allow teams to come back. And we think there's great strategy in deciding, head coach, do I go for 1, 2, or 3, right? And we love to second-guess coaches. We love to second-guess as fans, so this will be a lot of second-guessing.
It's exciting. It's going to be fast. It's obviously going to be safer. There's some tweaks to the rules, which I think will be a lot of fun for both the fans at home to watch, the players to play, and then obviously the officials to officiate. Commissioner, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're excited for this.
Thank you, Nick. Brian,
Can't wait
always
for
a
opening
pleasure.
weekend, 1 month from today. Much more First Things First right after this.
The fan suggestion that was just eliminate kickers entirely, that was mine.
I do think there's some intrigue probably on both sides of that thing, though, that to see if they can do it without the other guy, for Tommy to see if he can win without Bill, and for Bill to see if he can win without Tommy. I think there's probably some intrigue on both sides of that thing to see, where the credit really lies in that situation.
Brian, are you buying that Tommy and Belichick both want to win on their own?
I'm not. I really don't think that they would want to win apart from each other. When you have 19 years of success in one place with that one coach, why would you ever want to find out if you can win somewhere else? I mean, that sounds great when I'm on the group chat with my boys and we're in the bar talking about it. Well, you can't win without Donovan. You can't do things without
but not
that.
When it's real life.
But in real life, it's hard to win without Bill Belichick, his situational awareness, the things that he's going to help his team achieve on the offense, defense, and special teams. If I'm Tom Brady in year 10, maybe that's a question. But in year 20, that question I don't want to find the answer to, because I don't know how good, and you don't actually know what it is to be in another organization. I found out the hard way. Going to San Francisco from Philadelphia was a whole different world. Tom Brady may find that out this year. Now, he may not like what he gets.
One of the reasons, though, guys typically want to stay with an organization in the latter parts of their career is because they have earned a special dispensation, especially a player of Brady's caliber, certainly of your caliber, where they are treated special within that organization, and then they just go to general population if you go to a different organization. But Tom Brady doesn't get that with the Patriots. Famously, he gets yelled at in the meetings just like anybody. Gets treated like one of 53. That's the way the Patriot system works. Okay, so what about every 2 weeks or every week in the NFL when the paychecks come? Nope. Actually takes less than any quarterback of his caliber. All right, well, at least long-term security. Nope. They refused that to him. So you can be in a long-term great marriage, and then all of a sudden, if you feel like, wait, you've now forgotten 2 anniversaries. You now never send me that good morning, how are you doing text. Where is the appreciation? Where is the love coming on the other end? Then maybe you do say, I wonder how green the grass is. I think Brady ideally would like to spend his whole career with one organization. But the Patriots passed on that certainty this offseason. And as soon as, again, to use a relationship analogy, I've never done this, but as soon as people say, maybe we should take a break, let's look around, evaluate our options, that usually ends with at least one of the parties saying, guess what? I found a better option. And I think that might exist with the Los Angeles Chargers, especially if I'm wrong, the rest of the football world's right, Tom Brady's still awesome, and it's just about the weapons. Because the Chargers are replete with weapons. The flip side, though, is